look around there and see if we are. Okay.
Yep.
Wow, look at that. Welcome. It's episode number 231 of What Does This Button Do? That's pretty cool. It's an educational show about smartphones and technology with us geeks on tour. So we're here today, and I want to make sure that everybody knows right up front to please go ahead and click on subscribe and the bell so you get notified. Like us on Facebook, do all of those things. And we're going to start out with a quick tip. What do you have, Chris?
And this quick tip is about some other technology. This is not smartphone specific, but a lot of us have been using Zoom ever since the pandemic, and we haven't given a tip on Zoom in a while. So here you go.
Hi, this is Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour, and this tutorial video is about when you're in a Zoom meeting and someone is screen sharing. You may wish that you could see more of what their screen is without the people covering it up, or you may wish to see more of the people rather than the slides that are being screen shared. You do have some control. Let me show you how. Here's a typical screen share. Pam is showing us a photo of her cat while she gives her speech, and we see just her in the little inset up in the upper right. But there are other choices. You can click on this button to see a few people, or on the grid to see everybody, or on the minus to see nobody. Then you can also change the size of the inset box and move it around. Or you can click on this swap button to see the speaker full screen and her screen share in the inset. These options only affect your view. It does not affect anybody else's view. When you are in the middle view with several people, you have arrows that will go up and down to see the other people in the meeting.
Good.
So I hope you like that. It's a very simple tip, and I only discovered those because I am always saying, what does this button do?
And that's what we're all about here today.
So I click those little buttons up on top of the people, and voila, things happen.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I'm Jim, and here together with Chris, my wife, we are Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your iPad or your iPhone or your Android? And how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we are geeks, also known as propeller heads.
No doubt there.
We are geeks who teach, and we think the best way to learn is in small pieces on a regular basis. So we came up with this live show that we do once or twice a month now. And after the live show, it's recorded and we write up show notes for our members. Everything is collected on our website at geeksontour.com.
Okay. Where are we now, Chris?
Well, we're home, but boy, we've been all around the last couple weeks.
We've been busy.
That's why we didn't have a show last week like we normally would have. I went to Lake Tahoe, Reno specifically, where it was snowing. But I had a great visit with a dear old friend.
And while she was out there, I got to go diving once more. It was Good.
And then once I got home, we took a little road trip up to the Gainesville area where some high school friends of mine had gathered. And then, yes, just this week,
We went to a wedding from an old RV friend who just got married.
that is so cool.
Oh,
That
congratulations,
was great.
Chris.
To
Yeah,
Chris and Perry Leclerc.
very nice. All right. I want to say hi to our live viewers. We have quite a few here today. Let's see. Yeah, Francis says, I'm new to the Jitterbug smartphone. Chris says she doesn't use the Jitterbug, but it's customized. So it's kind of not quite an Android, but it's based on Android.
I'm curious. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Tell us how much is different.
Okay, Nancy, cool. All right, Tom Parks from Connecticut. All right, Ron, favorite Sunday show. We're here. Pat, Louisiana. Great. Oh, yeah. Live captioning. That's not up to me right here, is it? No.
I think it means that he's.
Oh, right. Very good.
If anybody wants to see the live captioning,
right.
What do? Actually, my CC doesn't.
San Antonio, Berlin. Hello, Detlef. Monrovia, California. Sunny day. It's going to get up in the high 70s. It's probably going to mid 80s here. Okay, Joel, Southern California. It's good to see you. And Debbie Diver.
Hi, Debbie.
Good to see you. I'm glad it looked like you had a great trip down to Mexico.
What fun it looked like you had.
And then you're out in Catalina.
And we look forward to seeing you back here in Florida soon.
There. Cool. Okay, where are we? I'm getting lost here. Chris and Edith, we're about there. I think that's about it. So let's get on with it. Also, thank you to our premium members. You make our work possible. Those are people who pay for Geeks on Tour premium membership. And there are some cool advantages and some things we do. The Backstage Pass is one of those. It's an online Zoom meeting with geeks, you guys. We get together and we can talk about things about the show or whatever questions you have. And it's great. You get a link from an email that Chris sent out earlier today or yesterday, or you can go right to our website at geeksontour.com and click on the link at the member login page. Right. Okay. Here we go.
Hodgepodge. There's just, we've been doing this for a long time, and we have collected some favorite important tips. We also learn new things all the time. So every once in a while, it seems like it's every six episodes or so, we just want to throw a hodgepodge of tips at you. Today, we already did one on Zoom meetings, going to do one on Bitcoin and blockchain, QR code scanning, a few smartphone basic, favorite old time tips, a Google Photos new feature, a Samsung S21 Ultra camera tip, talk about HEIC photo file format a little bit, and then one tip on sharing locations with maps. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see how fast we can cover this.
Okay.
So Bitcoin, we're not going to really talk about Bitcoin today, but because we've done it before, and we have what I think is a pretty nice 20-minute video that just kind of goes into the basics of what it is, how you can get you some if you want, or just how you can keep learning about Bitcoin and the blockchain, which is the technology that makes it possible. And it's blockchain, which is going to change our world because it will change the way the internet works. It's video number 727, and I decided to throw this up here at the very beginning, just in case anybody came here only for that reason. You don't need to watch us on this show today. Go to geeksontour.com/727, or you can scan that QR code there, and it'll take you right to it. It's not about investing. It's about knowing that technology changes our lives. And this is the next stage in the change of our technology. I think it's important to learn about it. Okay, so first actual tip for today's hodgepodge is QR code scanning. So you probably all know, because we've been forced to in this pandemic, the camera method of scanning a QR code. I'm going to show you using my iPad. So here are some QR codes. This is our brochure. And let's say I want to scan that one. I would just open up the camera app and focus on the code. And notice as soon as it sees that code, this pops up and says open in Chrome. When you tap there, it will take you to the place that QR code is meant to take you. In our case, it's going to be some of our tutorial videos. Now, if that doesn't work for you, it's because of a setting. And there is also a new method in your control center, and I want to show you that setting. So in settings, under control center, here is where the things that are in your control center now are showing, and the ones that have a green plus are tools that you can add to your control center. Notice code scanner. So I've just gone into settings, control center, and added code scanner. So what's that do? Now, if I go to my control center, which on the iPad and on iPhone, the newer iPhones, you swipe down from the upper right. Not that far. The far right corner. And notice there is now a little code scanner icon. And you tap that, and it's just a little more solid. And it goes straight there. So that's just now, yeah. On Android, on my Android anyway, I have, if I swipe down to see my shortcuts, the icons at the top are my shortcuts. Swipe down again and I see more shortcuts. Then the 3 dots means I have 3 screens of shortcuts. So I scroll over, there is a scan QR code. And once again, I just find it's a bit more solid. See how it stays up there. Even when I'm no longer looking at the QR code in front of me, it stays available on my screen. I like that. And I have the choice to copy that QR code or open in browser. I'm not going to. The camera method also works. So camera and focus on a QR code. But see how just sometimes it's just not quite as solid as the other way. On Android, if your camera did not come up with the QR code link, then you need to look at your settings of your camera. So I'm in the camera, there's settings, and scan QR codes needs to be on. So check that out in your Android phone. If that's off, then focusing your camera on a QR code won't work. But if you have this one, then who cares? I think this is a better one anyway. All right. So that's QR codes.
Okay.
I see that Richard Clarkson says that his phone will not scan the QR code in Messages to use it on my laptop. My A714 will, but not the S21 Plus. In Messages to use it on my laptop. Well, to use it on your... sorry, I'm not quite sure what that issue would be. We can talk in the Backstage Pass and see if we can figure it out, because Richard is a premium member. Hopefully we'll be seeing him after this in our Backstage Pass.
And speaking of premium members, thank you, Michael Daniels. He loves all the tips, and he gave us a little bit of money because of that. Anybody there? Great.
Oh, and Michael, that reminds me, because Michael has a Pixel phone, and you say your Pixel phone does not have that.
It does not have a setting for QR.
No, code scanner app on the shortcuts.
Right.
I thought it was an all Androids thing, but all I can say for sure is that it is a Samsung S21.
It's not on my Pixel 4 XL.
Yeah.
And it's up to date. So I'm not quite sure where that at, so anyhow.
Okay,
we're there.
Next.
There's more? Google Photos newish feature. What do you think? Best of the month?
I think you skipped a couple.
How could I?
One more. There.
Oh.
So back to some oldies but goodies. I have been reminded in this last couple weeks of seeing friends that not everybody knows how to copy paste on their phone. And I think it's so important. Here we have a pre-recorded segment. Copy and paste on mobile devices. Copy and paste is something people have been doing forever, so matter-of-factly on computers, but it kind of eludes them when it gets to mobile devices. So I just want to make sure everybody knows how. On both Apple and Android mobile devices, it works exactly the same. Isn't that nice? And long press is the key. So you long press until some little markers pop up. You drag them to what you want to see. Then you choose copy. It'll pop up on the screen. Go to the place you want the text and long press and paste. Let me show you how. They say it works exactly the same on iPhone and Android. I'm going to show you on my Android Samsung phone. So what do I want to copy? I'm going to go to a browser and geeksontour.com. So on the first page of Geeks on Tour, we always post this little sticky note as to whether we're going to be live that week. So let's say you want to copy this and send it to a friend. You just long press. And sometimes it takes a couple tries, so you'd have to lift your finger and long press again. It doesn't mean pushing hard, just long press. And these two little markers should pop up. You drag them to select what you want, and then you see this menu has popped up and you copy, and you're done with that part. Then you go to where you want to paste it. So let's say I want to make an email. And in the body of the email, I want to paste it. Once again, long press. And there is paste. And there's everything that you just copied. Now, Twitter and Facebook work slightly different. So I want to show you on Twitter and just on my profile. Once again, here is the tweet that I just posted about this episode on YouTube. And if you want to copy that, the key is still long press. When I long press, first it just opens the tweet, okay? Then when I long press, it just says copied to clipboard. Hey, Martin, good to know. It just says copy to clipboard, so you don't have to drag markers and make another. The whole tweet has been copied. Once again, I can go to an email and I can long press and paste. So whatever I just copied from Twitter is in there. Now, just to prove that it does work exactly the same on iOS, here is my iPad, and I'll even use Safari, the Apple browser, and go to Geeks on Tour. And see that little sticky note at the top and long press. And I get these little markers. I can drag and select everything I want and copy. And I can even go to the Apple email program and make an email. And in the body of the email, long press and paste. So that is copy and paste. Long press is the key. Long press on phones is kind of like a right click on a computer. Long press.
I think
Long press is
when
your
tap doesn't work and scroll around doesn't work,
and
try
double.
try a long press.
It has lots of uses.
In a lot of different places. So cool.
And copy and paste. Yeah, you can copy from anywhere and paste to anywhere. I just used a couple different easy examples. And Bill, Olive Cousin, says that he's found that there's an option to select all. Sometimes, yes, and absolutely. And sometimes you don't have to select it all. Just tapping on something copies the whole thing like that, like in Twitter.
But play with it and you'll learn a lot.
Okay, so there's two more on the basic smartphone tips, the Reboot and the Force Quitting apps. And they kind of go together. So let's see. I'm going to start with my Samsung, my Android phone. And first, I just want to show you my recently used apps. That's this 3- button down on the very bottom left. When you tap that, you see all of the apps that you have recently opened. Now, some people think that it's important to do a close all to clean this up. It is not. And people have gotten into fights over this, but I've done a lot of research, and it's not like a computer. These aren't taking up processing power. They're just placeholders. So actually, if you close all the time, you're slowing down your phone because it doesn't have the shortcut placeholders available. That said, there are some reasons to use this. But first, I want to show you rebooting. I'm going to hold down on the power button, also known as the side key, and I'm going to choose restart. So that is rebooting my phone. And, you know, how often do you do that, Jim?
I only normally do it when I am experiencing problems, but occasionally I'll reboot it just for.
Now that part is kind of like a computer.
It can be. Yeah,
it just gives it a clean start.
Right.
And so it's in process. So on the Android phone, there is that restart option. It shuts down and comes back all on its own. And if I go to unlock, I have to draw my pattern and it will start. But what I want you to see is that my most recently used apps are all still there. So Reboot did not clean them off. Why? Because it doesn't need to. It's not a good idea to clean those off. Now, if you're just, you know, if you're one of those that always likes to have a completely clean, neat desk, then okay, I understand. It doesn't really hurt much, but
it does slow you down.
But that's the way it works. Now, where it does come in, oh, I wanted to give an example of when because this happened just a couple days ago. We were traveling and I needed to use my Android Samsung as a hotspot. And it wasn't working. I mean, the hotspot would turn on. I could connect my computer to the hotspot that my phone was being, but after a couple of minutes, it would drop it. It just wouldn't stay. And I tried a few things. You know, I stopped the hotspot and I restarted the hotspot, still had a problem. Then when Jim tried to connect his computer to my hotspot,
and it didn't work,
then we had to fix it.
So my middle name is Reboot, back from the
Really?
old days of computers and network administration. Reboot.
Reboot.
It really does
And
solve a lot of problems.
It did fix it. The hotspot worked after that.
Yeah.
But if you're just having problems, for example, with Google Photos, you know, let's say you start to scroll through Google Photos and you go to library and nothing shows up and nothing does, and you tap on something and it doesn't work. You could reboot the phone, but if the only thing you're having a problem with is Google Photos, then you just want to reboot Google Photos. And that is what the multitasking is for. I would tap on the 3 lines that brings up recently used apps, and I would swipe Google Photos off. That means when I reopen it, it's not starting from that placeholder. It's starting fresh, and it usually fixes those problems. So that was on the Android. Same thing on iOS. I'm going to use my, what is this?
That's an iPad.
That's an iPad. Because it can work if you have a newer iPhone that doesn't have a button. You need to know how to get to your multitasking. And you do that by swiping up from the bottom and then letting go right at the middle. Now I'm on the multitasking, as opposed to just swiping up. Now I'm at home. So swipe up, kind of hold for a second in the middle and let go. Now you can find your misbehaving app and force quit it. That's what that's called. And on the iOS devices, you hold down on the power button until you see slide to power off. And you do have to power off and then count to 10, hold down on the power button to turn it back on again.
Bill wants to know, is the shutdown and restart equaling clearing issues?
Shut down and restart.
Yeah, from Reboot.
Yeah, good question. I think so.
Yeah.
I think they're the exact same thing. But that said, I would do a restart.
Yeah.
And if that didn't work, I would do a shutdown.
And then let it sit and start it up again.
I think that says I don't really know.
Okay. And that's true. We don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not a
engineer. She tells me she knows everything.
No, that's you.
Oh.
You tell me you know everything.
Oh, okay.
All right, next tip.
Next tip.
I think the next one is now Google Photos. Okay. So actually, Google Photos has not introduced many new features lately. So this one is actually from several months ago, but you may not have noticed it. I'm going to start with the Samsung, the Android. And the point here, I hope that you all, if you use Google Photos, I hope that you are aware of these memories that are up at the top. It pops up and just says, hey, here's some memories from 3 years ago. And it's just fun to look at them. They've added that same idea down in the timeline, in your stream of all photos, your library. Notice once I start moving in the library, this little button appears, and that button allows me to grab it and go very quickly, so I can go back to 2000, just like that. But notice as I traveled over it, I got some best of June. So I'm going to let go. So in your library, in the stream of my 100,000 pictures, at the beginning of each month, Google has, with its artificial intelligence, given me a best of. So if you're like me and take hundreds of pictures in one month, this can be really nice. Instead of browsing through the hundreds of pictures, just look at best of June 2010. And then there's this 3-dot menu. You could share that. You can tap the 3-dot menu and add to album and all items in this memory. That's what the grouping is called. It's called a memory. The best of June 2010 is a memory. And I could just say, okay, Google, oops, sorry about that. I'm sure I set off your devices too. I can just say, thank you very much. I won't make my own album. I'll just take the ones that you said are my best and make an album out of it. Pretty cool. On the iPhone, it does pretty much the same thing. So I go into Google Photos. And also, as I grab this button and travel down, you get a slight little bump, one of those haptic bumps that you can feel on your finger as you go, but it's not every month. Notice this, I'm on May 2014. I go down just tiny bit and I jump to February 2014. So it doesn't go month by month. And it depends on how many pictures you have as to how big the jump is. But this can get you in the vicinity. And as I say, for each month, there is a best of. So just a fun way to look back in time through some of your photos and just be looking at the best photos, not all of them. How we doing?
I think you're doing good. Done with that one?
Done with that one.
Okay.
Unless there are questions.
Okay. A couple of new comments. Let's see.
Yeah, Jollins is a question I can't answer.
That one.
Because the answer is no. That is, and thanks for asking, that is a mobile only feature. You will not see the best of January 2010 on the computer, on the browser version. I don't know, it might come there. The top line memories started out as mobile only, and now it's on the web version. So this might come there sometime.
Oops.
You can, well, that's something I didn't have time to get to, but you can say, don't show me, don't include this person in any of my memories. There is a setting for that. Or don't include this time period in any best ofs. There are ways to do that.
Debbie says when she was in Catalina, it started offering panoramas knit together from photos. That's been around for a while, though.
Yeah. But just since the cameras take such good panoramas, I never shoot 1, 2, 3 in a row. But yes, if Google Photos sees 3 in a row, it will stitch them together.
Okay.
Now here's one useful tip and one wow tip that is just with my Samsung S21 Ultra. Now we have some people in the audience that have the S22 Ultra and have the S21 Pro or something like that, Plus. And I'll be curious to see if you have this. But first is about exposure settings. And that's a pre-recorded. Hi, this is Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour. And I want to show you something I just learned about using the camera with my Samsung S21 Ultra. You can see this is the S21 Ultra with all those lenses. All right, let me get into regular. So you can see that I'm in a pretty dark room here, and it is setting the exposure more for the rocking chair than for outside the window. Let's say for some reason I wanted to take a picture of what was outside the window and I need to change my exposure. On other phone cameras I've had, I can just tap there and it changes the exposure. That doesn't work. I was quite upset. I didn't know how. I figured, okay, I'll tap and then I'll rub up and down. And no, that doesn't do it. In fact, if I rub up or down too much, it switches it into a different photo mode. I need to make sure to get back to photo. Okay, so what you do is you long press. If I long press on the window, the exposure changes. And if I want even more, I can rub left and right. So rubbing left down changes the exposure, makes it lower. Rubbing right. Now to stop it, I'll just tap outside of it. But just tapping and rubbing doesn't do anything. It's long press. You got to talk about how I discovered this. Where we were at this wedding, it was in a shelter, but it was open air. So it was sunny outside, but we were in the dark. And I wanted to take a picture that showed both inside and outside. And I kept, tapping and trying to make the exposure. And Jim came over and told me what I tell so many other people.
Long press.
Try long press.
And it worked.
Oh, it was amazing. I said, wow, that does the trick.
That does the trick.
So long press is your friend. Looks like we have a question.
Not yet.
Okay, let me go to this erase reflections because it's awesome. Now this, I don't know how many of you will have this. It is not Google Photos. So Google Photos does not have this feature. I am using the Samsung Gallery. Now realize, edits that I make with the Samsung Gallery will be seen by Google Photos and uploaded. So I'm just using a different tool for this special feature. So I go into Gallery and I have found some good examples. And here's the one that was on our, so this was in Lake Tahoe last week. You see the snow on the rooftop there. And I just shot this picture through the window of the car. It's basically garbage, right? Watch this.
Hold my beer.
Edit. Once again, this is Samsung Gallery's edit. 3 dots. And then it's part of the object eraser, which I showed in a previous episode, but I might show again but it's not just object eraser, it is erase reflections. Done. I'm shocked. I just think that's so cool. I say done, and then as long as I'm in here, I'll go, okay, this magic wand usually means like, make it better, make it even better. I tap the magic wand. It investigates the photo. Look how sparkling crystal clear that is. And I'll save. And no, I don't want to save over the original because I want to use this example again. So I'll tap the 3 dots and save as copy. And save as copy. So that's, and just in case you missed the object eraser, here's my sample for that. I want to get rid of those 2 people. I want it to look like Jim and I are the only ones on the beach. Edit, 3 dots, object eraser. and then I'll tap her. See how and I'll tap him and erase. Poof. That's pretty cool. Now that's pretty much the same thing as what do they call it? The magic eraser, I think.
On the new Pixels.
On the new Pixel phones. But this is not a Pixel. This is a Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra.
Yeah. Ron says Samsung copied it from the Pixel. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. It's it just shows how we're going to get everything everywhere, that it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Okay. I'm done with that one.
All right. Next one.
Oh, HEIC. I thought about doing...
It can be very confusing.
Yeah, I thought about doing a whole show on this, but I don't want to. I don't want to. So I'm just going to tell you some of the basics. You may have seen this. If you use an iPhone, you likely have seen it because HEIC is the default photo format in iOS. But, and it's a good thing. So I'm going to show you the camera settings first, then explain it a bit, then tell you how you can convert if you need to. So here's the iPhone. And it's when you take a picture and save it, what format is it going to be saved in? That's controlled by your settings. Settings and camera and formats. High efficiency. That's what HEIC stands for, is high efficiency. If you don't want high efficiency, you would make it most compatible. From now on, your phone will be storing pictures in JPEG format. But I think you should use high efficiency as long as it's not causing you too much problems in the conversion. And we'll talk about that. So the high efficiency is turned on by default in iPhones. So that's why some people think that it's only an iPhone thing, but it's not. On my Samsung, if I go into the camera and settings and picture formats, I have high efficiency also, but it's off by default. So if you want it, you have to go in and turn it on. And I don't know how many Android phones have it. Yours does not, right? The Pixel does not.
Right. My Pixel does not.
Okay. Back to the slide.
Okay.
So just what is it? It's just a newer, better format for storing pictures. It's from the same folks that made the JPEG so long ago. The MPEG, Motion Picture Experts Group, made that format, and it's old, so they've made a new one. It's better. It stores more information in a smaller space. So I think you should be using it unless the HEIC is giving you too many problems with other applications. And that's the next slide. So converting HEIC to JPEG, and this is, I'll be going over here for a second. First of all, in Google Photos. So if, and where's one? Need to make sure, oh, here, this silly picture here. If I look at the information, this is an HEIC photo. But if I 3-dot download, notice what it's doing. It's turning it into a JPEG. I cannot, with Google Photos, download an HEIC. Google Photos can read HEIC, but it can only write JPEGs. So, no problem. If your photos, and if you're doing it one at a time. Now, if you choose a bunch of photos in Google Photos and download them, okay, I'm done, then they get zipped. And the HEICs will remain HEICs within the zipped file. Okay, so that's Google Photos. It converts automatically when you download, but there's lots more. What about Windows? In Windows 11, you can open an it reads HEIC files just fine with the native Photos app. If you make any edits, once again, it cannot write an HEIC file. So when you make an edit, you are forced to save as, and it saves a JPEG file. If you don't need to make any edits, then you just open it in Photos, click the three-dot menu, choose Save As, and select the file type that you want, JPEG. Windows 10, same thing, except if you have never opened an HEIC file, you may need to download the codec. Don't ask me what that means, but it should prompt you for it. You should say, I can't read this file, go download this codec, and you'll have a link to it. Once that's installed, you should be able to read HEIC. On a Mac, open the HEIC photo using Preview, which means just double click on the file from the Finder, and it opens in Preview. And then you have a menu. Under the File menu, you'll see Export. Export to JPEG, right?
Right.
We tried this.
Yes. No, my gasp was I just forgot something.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Very important.
I know what it is. Okay, next. One more bullet. Now, converting, if somebody sent you a pile of HEIC files and you need them to be in JPEG because, for example, WordPress cannot use, at least it's been my experience, if I try to add a HEIC file to a WordPress web page, it says, I don't know what this is. So if you need to convert many files at once, you'll need some other software. There's lots of them. There's free ones. Just Google for convert HEIC to JPEG. Should be no problem. Whoa, I am running a little bit late. But this is a quick and easy one, and we got to do something on maps. I mean, so let's say that you're going to have a party in a park and you need to send people directions. I'm going to do it on my Android. Be the same thing on an iPhone as long as you're using Google Maps. So there's Google Maps. And there's a park down by the beach here called Hugh Taylor Birch State Park. And yes, I could tell them Hugh Taylor Birch State Park, but let's say it's right here at this little crook on the road, right on the intercoastal that we're going to set up and have our party. How do I tell people exactly where to go? You just long press at that spot. That drops a pin. Now, down at the bottom here, you have the ability to share that dropped pin. Share. And I'm just going to email it to myself so that I can then open it up and show you. And email it. Okay. Now I'll open up my email. And now if I was really sending this to somebody, I would say, here's where our party is going to be and give them the time and all that. But to get directions, all they'll have to do is tap that link. And you should be able to open it in Google Maps. All right, I did this on the iPhone. Is it different? Is it different on the iPhone? No. So, and just open it back up. There we go. Maps, open in browser. There, and it takes me right there. I can get directions.
On a bicycle.
And that's just very useful for sending people directions to something that doesn't have an address. Now, what if you needed to tell that person over the phone where to go? That I use the plus codes for on Google Maps. I mean, I haven't ever had the need to do it, but if I drop a pin at some place that doesn't have an address, this 4VWV plus X64 Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that is the plus code. That's something that you could actually read to somebody over the phone. They could write it down, enter it into Google Maps, and get straight there without a link. And then last but not least, my very favorite tip ever, and I think I can maintain this one, still has to do with getting directions, but it's using Google Photos. And here's a little pre-recorded. And this is Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour, and I want to show you one of my very favorite features of Google Photos. I call it Navigate to a Photo. Step 1, you open up Google Photos and find the photo of the location where you want to go. We travel a lot by RV, and whenever we park at a campground, I take a picture of our site. Then, when we leave to go for grocery shopping or out to dinner, I know I can get back there. This is how you do it. You just swipe up on the picture, and you should see a map. If you don't see a map, that means that your camera was not set to record the location when you took the picture. And we have another video on that. Now you see I can just open in Maps. I can choose Google Maps or any other. And it's showing me on the map where this is. Now I can get directions and start. And I know that I'll be able to get back to that exact same site. Navigate to a photo using Google Photos.
Okay.
We use that all the time. All the time. If I know I'm ever going to be going back to a place, I don't bother putting it in an address book or anything. I just take a picture.
Gary wants to know, is a screenshot of a photo less quality or less resolution?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots less. And I do have a whole video on resolution. But
Bob says that Magic Pixel 6 has the magic eraser. Yeah, we were alluding to that.
And that should be every bit as good as what I showed.
Right, right. And, okay, Tap works on Pixel 6. Let's see. I guess that was from before. Okay.
I think we got everything.
Did you learn something? Yeah.
I did.
That's why we do this.
That's why we do this.
The HE in HEIC stands for A, haptic energy, B, high efficiency, or C, high enough.
High efficiency.
Okay. Our 20-minute video on Bitcoin and blockchain is video 727, which means you can see it at, what's the shortcut?
Just geeksontour.com/727.
The key to copy paste on a smartphone is A, the 3-dot menu, B, use Siri, or C, long press.
C, long press.
The app that can erase reflections on photos taken through a window is A, Samsung Gallery, B, Apple Photos, C, Google Photos, or D, Snapseed.
Yeah, I can't do that in Snapseed, which would normally be my go-to extra fancy editor, Samsung Gallery, A.
True or false? It is important to regularly clear all recently used apps on your phone.
False.
And if something is going wacky on your phone, that's a technical term, you know, the best thing to do is A, send it back, B, reboot, C, factory reset, D, get a new phone, or E, all of the above.
Well, the first thing to try is Reboot. It so often fixes it. If it doesn't, then yeah, you need to look at the other choices.
Want to remind our premium members, the Backstage Pass is right after this show. It's a Zoom meeting. You should get the link in an email that Chris sends out, or you can go to geeksontour.com/member login and find the link there. Come and see us afterwards. You can ask questions and we'll be happy to respond to your questions. Sign up for our free newsletters and you can get those over there. Members, another benefit is you get the newest edition of Chris's Learn Google Photos book there and become a member.
The newest edition is from last June, so.
Yeah.
But I do have a web page that tracks
keeps
all the
everything
changes.
up to date. So if you are an owner of that, you can get it. And the link is in the book. So you have to have the book to get the link, right?
That's the idea.
All right, Chris, what's the web page that lists all of our YouTube shows?
Geeksontour.com, and the menu item is YouTube shows.
And the web page that has all our recent newsletters.
Geeksontour.com, and the menu item is blogs and news. You'll find newsletters under there.
Great. And why do people pay nearly $60 a year to join Geeks on Tour?
Well, there's lots of member benefits. You get to ask us any question in the Q&A forum. You get the Backstage Pass, where we have private members-only Zoom meetings, access to hundreds of Show Me videos, all our ebooks, and some people become a paid member just to say thank you for all the stuff that we give for free. And we appreciate you.
All right. Well, that's it for us, I guess. I just broke our slideshow, so I think we'll find it there. And anyway, maybe it'll
see you next time.
Yeah.
Will not be next week. And then I'm not sure what, because just in a couple of weeks, we are scheduled to go on a dive trip in the Maldives, which is on the other side of the planet. And I believe we will not have any internet.
That's what we're told. We'll have it occasionally, but probably not much during the 10 days that we're on the boat. So
we might be quiet for a few weeks here.
Or maybe we'll set something up to...
Or we had thought about doing one next week then, just because we're going to be gone for... Anyway, stay tuned. If you are on our newsletter list, you'll be informed.
Right. So I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks on Tour. Sign up for our free newsletters, do all of that stuff, and we'll see you next time.